It was a crowded morning at Iron Titan Gym, the kind of gym where everyone wanted to look stronger than the next person. Dumbbells clanged, treadmills hummed, and the smell of sweat and protein shakes filled the air. But amidst all the chaos, one man entered like a storm. Hulk Hogan. Muscles rippling, chest puffed out, veins popping like ropes, he walked in like he owned the place. The gym instantly fell silent. Trainers paused mid-rep. Members stopped scrolling on their phones. He was a walking mountain of pure confidence. 140 kilos of raw muscle and ego. "I'm 140 kilos of pure muscle," he shouted, his voice booming. "Nobody here can touch me." Heads turned. Some laughed nervously. Others stepped aside, not daring to challenge the living legend of sheer size. Everyone knew Hulk Hogan had power, but his arrogance was about to meet its match. In the far corner, quietly and almost invisibly, Bruce Lee was moving. Not flexing. Not yelling. Just calm, controlled, precise. His black t-shirt clung to a lean, athletic frame. His eyes were sharp, alert, every movement measured, every breath intentional. He wasn't there to impress anyone. He was there to train, to perfect his art. Hulk noticed him and let out a loud, mocking laugh. "Hey kid," Hulk bellowed, flexing his arms, making them look like mountains. "You think you can compete with 140 kilos of pure muscle? Come on, show me what you've got." The gym members exchanged glances, some holding their phones up, ready to record what they expected to be a humiliating mismatch. Everyone assumed the outcome was obvious. Hulk Hogan was a giant, and Bruce Lee? Just a lean, quiet man who barely weighed half as much. But Bruce Lee didn't flinch. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. There was a calm in his stance, a quiet confidence that drew the attention of everyone in the gym. You could feel the tension in the air. Something was about to happen, and no one would see it coming. Before Hulk could take another step, Bruce shifted slightly, his eyes never leaving the towering figure in front of him. The crowd leaned in, whispers spreading like wildfire. "Can he really? Is he even going to move?" And in that silent, electric moment, the stage was set for a confrontation that would prove one thing. Size alone doesn't decide the fight. Hit like if you want to see what happens next, and don't forget to subscribe, because in part 2, Hulk Hogan is about to discover that lightning can strike even the biggest mountain in just 9 seconds. The gym was buzzing that morning, but not with the usual energy. Normally, the clanging of dumbbells, the whirring of treadmills, and the occasional grunt from someone struggling under a heavy barbell created a rhythmic chaos. Today, however, something different hung in the air: anticipation. Hulk Hogan, all 140 kilos of rippling muscle, strutted through the doors like a king entering his domain. His signature bandana framed his face, and his shades reflected the bright fluorescent lights of the gym. People instinctively moved aside, giving him space as if the gym itself recognized the aura of a living legend. "Step aside, amateurs," Hulk bellowed, flexing as he walked past the benches. "Nobody here can match the power of these muscles." Some laughed nervously. Some whispered. Others filmed with their phones, hoping to catch a glimpse of his so-called unmatched strength. Trainers nodded respectfully, careful not to interrupt his performance. Hulk thrived on this. He fed on the attention, on the fear, on the admiration. In his mind, the gym was a stage, and he was the star. But then, in the corner of the gym, there was another man. Quiet. Calm. Almost invisible amid the chaos. Bruce Lee. Bruce didn't announce his presence. He didn't stomp around or flex. He simply moved with precision, shadowboxing in a corner. Each punch and kick was executed with surgical accuracy, his muscles coiled like a spring ready to release. The movements were controlled, but they carried an unmistakable power. Even from a distance, there was something magnetic about the way he trained. Hulk noticed him. His brow furrowed in confusion. "Who's this kid?" he muttered, loud enough for a few gym-goers to hear. "He doesn't look like much, half my size." But Hulk was also competitive. He had never liked anyone questioning his dominance, even if it was subtle. So, with a loud laugh and a dramatic flex, he made his way over. Every step he took seemed to shake the floor slightly, and people instinctively stepped back. "Hey, kid!" Hulk shouted, pointing a massive finger. "You think you can compete with 140 kilos of pure muscle? Show me what you got. Bruce stopped mid-movement and turned his eyes toward Hulk. Calm. Focused. Unshaken. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't puff his chest. He simply studied the giant before him, his eyes sharp, calculating. It was the kind of look that made people feel like he already knew the outcome, even before a single strike was thrown. The crowd around them leaned in. Phones came out, recording. The gym felt smaller suddenly, as if all the energy had shifted toward the two figures in the center. Trainers whispered among themselves, "Is he seriously going to challenge Hulk Hogan? That's suicide." Hulk smirked, his confidence radiating. "Come on, kid, don't just stand there. I'm 140 kilos of muscle. You think your little punches can do anything?" Bruce didn't respond verbally. He simply shifted slightly, adjusting his stance. Every muscle in his body was relaxed yet ready, poised for movement. In that moment, it wasn't about ego, size, or showmanship. It was about skill, precision, and focus, something Hulk had never faced on this scale. Hulk laughed again, a deep, booming sound. "All right, let's see if you're worth my time. Show me something." Bruce exhaled slowly. In the silence between breaths, the gym seemed to stop. Even the treadmill belts seemed to pause. It was the calm before the storm, the moment when everyone realized that this confrontation would be unlike anything they'd ever seen. Some gym-goers tried to cheer Hulk on. "Go on, Hulk. Crush him." But the energy felt tense. There was a subtle realization creeping through the crowd. Maybe size isn't everything. Maybe something else, speed, skill, intelligence, could tip the scales. Bruce moved one step closer. Not aggressively. Not recklessly. But his presence alone sent a shiver through Hulk's overconfidence. The giant's smirk faltered just slightly. The first cracks in Hulk's ego were appearing, unnoticed by most, but visible to those paying attention. At this point, every eye in the gym was locked on the two. Phones raised, whispers grew louder. Some trainers exchanged glances. "He's fast," one muttered. "Way faster than any human should be." And in that suspended moment, Bruce Lee didn't shout, flex, or threaten. He simply stood, calm and ready, letting Hulk Hogan underestimate him one last time. That single step set the stage for the next 9 seconds, a demonstration of skill and precision that would leave every person in the gym in awe. Before we move to part 3, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss the moment when Hulk Hogan realizes that pure size isn't always the answer, and Bruce Lee's lightning speed rewrites the rules of power in just 9 seconds. The air in Iron Titan Gym was electric. Every person present felt it, a tension that went beyond muscles, beyond size, beyond the usual competitive energy of a crowded gym. This was something different. Something historic. Hulk Hogan, 140 kilos of raw muscle and overconfidence, flexed his biceps again, letting them ripple like mountains under the fluorescent gym lights. He stepped closer to Bruce Lee, each footfall heavy, deliberate, demanding attention. He was used to being the center of awe, the one everyone feared or admired. But today, something in the air, calm, precise, almost imperceptible, made him pause. "Come on, kid," Hulk boomed, his deep voice shaking slightly, betraying just the faintest hint of unease. "Show me what you got. Don't waste my time." Bruce Lee didn't answer verbally. He didn't puff out his chest. He didn't even flinch. Instead, he shifted his stance, grounding himself lightly on the balls of his feet. His hands were relaxed but ready, his eyes scanning Hulk with an intensity that was almost too calm to be human. The crowd held its breath. Phones were raised, cameras recording, all waiting to see the inevitable clash of sheer muscle versus legendary skill. Trainers muttered to one another, some wide-eyed. "Is he really going to challenge him? He's so small." Small. That's Bruce Lee. Never underestimate him. Hulk lunged forward, confident in his strength. He threw a faint punch, a test, more for intimidation than actual damage. His massive fist cut through the air, a blur of brute force, meant to dominate. Bruce moved, but not in the way anyone expected. He didn't dodge dramatically or counter with a wild strike. Instead, he shifted ever so slightly, his body almost dancing around the attack, each movement precise, minimal, perfect. Hulk's fist passed harmlessly through space where Bruce had just been. The sound of impact never came. The gym seemed to gasp collectively. Hulk blinked. For the first time, the giant's confidence wavered. His ego, built on years of brute strength and intimidation, had never encountered someone this fast, this calm, this untouchable. "You're fast," Hulk growled, trying to regain control, to assert dominance. "But muscle beats speed. You'll see." He swung again, this time a full power strike aimed to intimidate and overpower. Bruce responded with a single step, a precise deflection, a flick of the wrist, and in that motion, Hulk's balance shifted. He stumbled slightly, not from force, but from the subtlety of Bruce's control. Every movement Bruce made was like water, flowing perfectly around the massive wall of Hulk's attacks. The gym was silent, except for whispers. "Did he just? Is he really? That's impossible." Hulk's face tightened. His frustration grew. For decades, his size had been the ultimate weapon. Nothing had ever challenged him like this. And yet, here he was, struggling to land a single hit. Bruce didn't attack aggressively. He didn't need to. His approach was surgical, his strikes calculated, his footwork almost invisible. He exploited gaps Hulk didn't even know existed, tiny openings in stance, slight misalignments in balance. With each subtle move, Hulk's confidence cracked a little more. The crowd leaned in closer. Some had dropped their phones, unable to look away. The tension was unbearable. Everyone knew something incredible was unfolding. Then, it happened. In a blur of motion, Bruce shifted his weight, executing a combination of swift strikes and calculated footwork. Hulk, caught off guard by the speed and precision, stumbled backward. Not dramatically, not theatrically, just a giant, confident man realizing he had underestimated someone smaller, calmer, faster. The entire sequence took just 9 seconds. 9 seconds that left the gym in awe, gasping, whispering. Cameras shook as everyone tried to record, but no recording could truly capture the sheer precision, speed, and skill of Bruce Lee in motion. Hulk Hogan, still upright but shaken, raised his hands defensively, blinking rapidly. His chest heaved from adrenaline, not effort. His ego, once untouchable, had taken a silent but unmistakable hit. Bruce Lee simply stood, calm, relaxed, almost like nothing had happened. No shouting, no chest puffing, no celebration. His eyes scanned the crowd briefly, then returned to Hulk, waiting, observing, teaching without words. True power isn't muscle. True skill is precise, controlled, and effortless. The gym was silent for a moment, the sound of air and adrenaline thick in the space. Trainers whispered among themselves, wide-eyed. "I've never seen anyone move like that. That was unbelievable. 9 seconds. 9 seconds." Hulk's massive frame shook, not from physical blows, but from the realization that size alone does not define dominance. For the first time, he experienced respect mixed with astonishment, the humbling effect of encountering someone whose mastery was absolute. Bruce Lee exhaled softly. His calm, deliberate movements had not only avoided Hulk's strength but shown that intellect, precision, and timing are more powerful than raw muscle. The lesson was clear to everyone in the gym. Arrogance is defeated by skill, size is neutralized by precision, and true mastery is silent. Before we move to part 4, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next part shows Hulk Hogan's reaction, and the moment the crowd fully realizes that Bruce Lee just rewrote the rules of power in under 10 seconds. The gym was silent, but not in the usual way. It was the kind of silence that follows a storm, when everyone realizes they've just witnessed something extraordinary. Every person present, trainers, gym-goers, and casual observers, stared at Bruce Lee and Hulk Hogan, trying to comprehend what had just happened. Hulk Hogan stood frozen in the center of the gym. His massive chest heaved, not from exertion, but from shock. For decades, he had walked into gyms like this one with unwavering confidence. People had always looked at him with awe, fearing or admiring his sheer size. But now, something was different. Something had cracked his armor. Bruce Lee, in contrast, remained calm. Every breath controlled, every muscle relaxed. He hadn't shouted, flexed, or celebrated. He hadn't needed to. In just 9 seconds, he had demonstrated something far more powerful than brute strength. He had shown precision, speed, and skill, qualities that Hulk Hogan had underestimated until it was almost too late. The crowd reacted slowly at first, like a wave that gathers momentum before crashing. A few people gasped audibly. Phones clicked, recording shaky videos of the scene, though no camera could truly capture the intensity of what had just happened. Some murmured to their friends in disbelief. "Did you see that? He moved like lightning." "No way. Hulk didn't even touch him. Size doesn't mean anything. I can't believe it." The trainers were the first to recover. One old trainer, a man who had seen decades of athletes walk through Iron Titan Gym, shook his head in amazement. "I've trained some of the strongest people in the world," he whispered to a colleague. "But I've never seen speed like that. Not even close." Hulk's massive hands clenched instinctively. His face, usually so confident and commanding, betrayed a flicker of uncertainty. He flexed, tried to reassert his presence, but it felt hollow. The energy that had surrounded him, the aura of dominance that always preceded his every move, had shifted. The gym, for the first time, belonged to Bruce Lee, even if only symbolically. Gym-goers began to approach cautiously, whispering to one another. Some were inspired, some bewildered. One young man muttered under his breath, "That was unbelievable. Bruce Lee is not just a fighter. He's something else." Hulk's voice broke the silence, trying to reclaim authority. "Kid, you're fast. But muscle beats speed. You'll see." But even as he spoke, there was a tremor in his tone. Bruce didn't respond. He simply adjusted his stance, like a coiled spring, eyes calm but piercing, as if daring Hulk to truly understand the difference between size and skill. A few of Hulk's fans in the crowd began to murmur, doubt creeping into their admiration. "Wait, did he just... Hulk's huge, but he can't land a single hit." The whispers spread like wildfire, a ripple of awe and disbelief through the gym. Even Hulk could feel it, the shift in perception, the sudden realization that his power was not absolute. One young trainer, recording with his phone, turned to another and said, "We should all be taking notes. That was more than a fight. That was a masterclass in movement, timing, and precision." Bruce's calmness contrasted sharply with Hulk's frustration. Every eye was drawn to the contrast. One man, towering and muscular, relying on size and intimidation. The other, lean, controlled, and impossibly fast, mastering the moment without force. Some gym-goers laughed nervously, trying to break the tension. "I thought Hulk was unbeatable," one shouted. But it was half laugh, half incredulous gasp. The reality was undeniable. Hulk had been outclassed, not by raw strength, but by skill, timing, and intellect. Even Hulk's stance began to falter. He shifted from foot to foot, trying to regain balance, both physically and mentally. The gym was witnessing a humbling lesson, one that size alone could never teach. Bruce Lee, without a word, had shown the power of control, the power of strategy, the power of knowing your craft better than anyone else. Then came the murmurs of respect. Gym-goers who had been cheering for Hulk now nodded at Bruce. Trainers exchanged glances. Even Hulk, still breathing heavily, locked eyes with Bruce and saw something he hadn't seen before, true mastery. The tension in the room was almost unbearable. Everyone knew they had witnessed something historic. The story of Hulk Hogan's sheer size being neutralized in under 10 seconds would be retold in this gym for years. Cameras had captured the moments, yes, but the essence of speed, skill, and calm dominance was something that could only be felt in person. Bruce Lee exhaled, a controlled, quiet breath. Hulk Hogan's chest rose and fell faster, the giant realizing that this was not just a lesson in martial arts, but a lesson in humility. The crowd sensed it. The gym had changed. And in that silence, one thing became perfectly clear. Skill, precision, and timing will always outweigh raw muscle when applied perfectly. Before we move to part 5, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next part reveals Hulk Hogan's full reaction, and the moment the crowd fully comprehends that Bruce Lee didn't just move fast, he rewrote the rules of power in those 9 unforgettable seconds. The gym was still, but not for long. After those 9 seconds of sheer brilliance, the tension shifted into a mixture of awe, disbelief, and excitement. Every eye was on Bruce Lee and Hulk Hogan, trying to process what had just happened. Hulk's chest rose and fell rapidly, his massive arms flexing as if to reassure himself that he still possessed strength. Yet, deep down, he knew something profound had just occurred. For the first time in his life, Hulk Hogan realized muscle alone was not enough. He had dominated every gym he entered for decades, towering over every opponent, intimidating with size and presence. But here, in front of everyone, Bruce Lee had neutralized that dominance effortlessly. In 9 seconds, Hulk's confidence had been shaken, and the truth was undeniable. He had underestimated Bruce Lee. Bruce, meanwhile, remained calm, almost serene. No victory poses, no smug smile. He simply stood, breathing quietly, every movement still controlled, as if time itself had slowed around him. The power he displayed was not in his fists or kicks, but in the precision of his mind and body working together. Every inch of him radiated mastery, a lesson in skill beyond muscle. The crowd, previously divided, began to erupt into whispers of respect and astonishment. Phones were raised, shaky hands filming, but nothing could truly capture the fluidity, speed, and absolute control Bruce exhibited. Gym-goers who had been cheering for Hulk now nodded in silent agreement. The smaller man had triumphed in a way no one could have predicted. Hulk, trying to regain composure, flexed again, but the gesture felt hollow. He looked at Bruce Lee and finally spoke, voice heavy but tinged with respect. "Kid, you're faster than anything I've ever seen, stronger in ways I didn't understand." Bruce's eyes met Hulk's for the first time directly. Calm, unwavering, almost teaching without words. He didn't boast, didn't gloat. His presence alone made it clear, true mastery does not need to announce itself. An older trainer, standing near the edge of the gym, whispered to a colleague. That wasn't just a fight. It was a demonstration of genius. Precision, timing, and awareness, the kind of skill most people spend a lifetime chasing. The whispers spread through the gym like wildfire. People nudged each other, pointing at Bruce, their faces alight with astonishment. Some were trying to articulate what they had seen, others were simply dumbfounded. Even Hulk's fans were speechless, unable to deny the undeniable. Bruce Lee had not just outmaneuvered a giant, he had rewritten their understanding of combat. Hulk Hogan's face softened, the initial frustration giving way to admiration. He stepped back slightly, his massive arms lowering. For the first time, the giant experienced humility in the presence of true skill. He extended a hand, a symbolic gesture bridging brute force and mastery. I underestimated you, Hulk admitted. You've taught me something today. Respect. Bruce Lee nodded subtly, accepting the gesture but not making it about ego. His focus remained calm, his presence composed. The lesson was clear to everyone. Skill and control surpass raw strength when applied perfectly. The crowd erupted. Phones recorded the moment, but the energy in the gym was something that could not be captured digitally. People shouted, clapped, and laughed in disbelief and admiration. Trainers and gym-goers alike were inspired, realizing that intelligence, focus, and precision could surpass sheer muscle. A young man in the crowd whispered to his friend, "I've seen champions before, but this is something else. Bruce Lee isn't just fast, he's untouchable." Hulk Hogan, massive and still slightly shocked, took a step back and looked around. For years, he had relied on intimidation, size, and presence. But in these 9 seconds, Bruce had shown the power of calm mastery. It wasn't just a win in a gym, it was a lesson for everyone present. The murmurs turned into cheers. People started to gather closer to Bruce, some tentatively, some boldly, hoping to witness the calm legend in person. Phones were raised again, capturing slow-motion shots, but the truth was that no camera could truly show the elegance of Bruce's skill. Bruce Lee exhaled softly, a quiet breath that seemed to calm the room. Hulk Hogan's massive frame shifted, the tension easing as he realized he had learned something valuable. Respect, humility, and skill outweigh brute strength every time. Before we move to part 6, if you're amazed by this showdown, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Comment below, respect, if you think Bruce Lee's skill over Hulk Hogan's muscle proves that intelligence and precision are true power. The next part reveals how Hulk reacts fully, how Bruce leaves a lasting impression, and why this moment will be remembered as one of the greatest lessons in martial arts history. The gym was still buzzing, but not with the same energy as before. The adrenaline of Bruce Lee's lightning-fast display had begun to settle into awe, admiration, and respect. Every person in the room felt it. Something historic had just unfolded. Hulk Hogan, the 140-kilo mountain of muscle, was standing just a few feet from Bruce, and for the first time, his legendary confidence had softened into humility. Hulk's chest rose and fell rapidly. His hands, which had flexed and dominated gyms for decades, were now relaxed, almost uncharacteristically so. He had spent years relying on sheer size, intimidation, and charisma. Yet, in 9 seconds, all of that had been neutralized by someone smaller, calmer, faster, someone who embodied precision, skill, and mental mastery. "Kid, I've got to hand it to you," Hulk said, his voice steady but filled with a new kind of respect. "I've been the biggest, the strongest, the most feared in every gym I've walked into, but you're on another level." Bruce Lee simply nodded, his calm expression unchanging. There was no need for words. His demonstration had already spoken volumes. In every subtle movement, every controlled breath, Bruce had shown that true power comes from mastery, not muscle. The crowd, which had been holding its collective breath for minutes, began to erupt into applause. Phones captured shaky footage of the moment, but no video could truly convey what had happened. Trainers, long-time gym-goers, and newcomers alike whispered among themselves, marveling at the lesson they had just witnessed. One trainer muttered, shaking his head, "I've trained champions for decades, but I've never seen anyone move like that. Not speed, not timing, not control, never." Hulk Hogan, still catching his breath, looked around the gym at the faces of the people he had once dominated with size alone. He realized something profound. Respect, skill, and humility are more powerful than muscle or intimidation. He raised his massive hand once more, not to flex, not to assert dominance, but as a gesture of acknowledgement. "Bruce," he said quietly, almost reverently, "I misjudged you. I underestimated the power of skill, precision, and focus. Today, you've taught me something more valuable than any gym session, any competition, or any fight I've ever had." Bruce Lee's eyes softened slightly, a hint of a smile crossing his calm face. He didn't gloat. He didn't shout. He simply accepted the lesson being shared, one of respect and quiet mastery. The crowd erupted again, louder this time. People cheered not just for Bruce Lee, but for the lesson itself. Cameras clicked and phones recorded, but the energy in the room was too tangible, too alive, to ever be fully captured digitally. The murmurs were full of admiration, amazement, and a shared understanding of what had just happened. Size alone is not power. Skill, control, and humility define true strength. Hulk Hogan, towering and still slightly shaken, turned to Bruce Lee fully, extending both hands as a symbol of mutual respect. Bruce nodded, recognizing the sincerity behind the gesture. In that moment, the gym witnessed more than a victory. They witnessed a passing of a lesson across generations, the mountain meeting the master of precision and learning humility. Even the gym-goers who had once cheered solely for Hulk now approached Bruce, some tentatively, some boldly, to shake his hand or simply nod in respect. Phones captured the energy, but the lesson itself, the quiet display of mastery, transcended video. Bruce Lee took a final calm breath, then stepped back. His presence, his speed, his skill, and his composure left an indelible mark on everyone present. Hulk Hogan, massive and muscular as he was, remained rooted in awe, realizing that dominance is not about intimidation, but about respect and mastery. The atmosphere shifted from tension to inspiration. Trainers discussed technique, gym-goers whispered about strategy, and young athletes stared in awe at Bruce's calm demeanor. The moral was clear: true strength is measured not by size, but by skill, focus, and humility. Before we move to part 7, if this showdown amazed you, hit like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell. Comment below, respect, if you think Bruce Lee's quiet mastery proves that skill always beats raw muscle. As Bruce walked toward the exit, the gym erupted once more. The legend hadn't just moved fast. He had changed everyone's understanding of power. Hulk Hogan, once a symbol of pure physical strength, had learned the ultimate lesson. Size may intimidate, but mastery commands respect. The crowd would remember this moment forever. Phones, cameras, and memory alone would preserve it, but the lesson, timeless and universal, would stay with everyone. True power is silent, precise, and earned through skill, not size. The echoes of the gym still lingered as Bruce Lee walked toward the exit. Every step he took was calm, deliberate, and effortless. The crowd, still buzzing with adrenaline, could hardly process what they had just witnessed. Phones were recording shaky videos, trainers whispered to one another in disbelief, and gym-goers stood frozen, staring at the quiet master who had just redefined their understanding of power. Hulk Hogan, still massive and imposing, stood in the center of the gym, his chest heaving, arms lowered, and a newfound humility in his eyes. For decades, he had relied on sheer size, intimidation, and confidence to dominate every room he entered. He had been feared and admired for his muscles, his presence, and his persona. Yet today, in less than 10 seconds, Bruce Lee had shown him, and everyone else, that true strength is not measured by size or intimidation, but by skill, precision, and calm mastery. Hulk's voice, heavy with awe and respect, finally broke the silence. "Bruce, I underestimated you. You've shown me something today that no amount of muscle could ever teach. Skill, focus, timing, that's real power." Bruce simply nodded, his calm demeanor unshaken. He didn't need to boast or prove himself further. The lesson had already been delivered, with clarity, speed, and precision that words alone could never convey. Around the gym, the atmosphere shifted from shock to inspiration. People were no longer talking about who was stronger or bigger. They were discussing control, focus, and the art of mastery. Trainers began dissecting Bruce's movements, whispering to their apprentices about footwork, timing, and subtle shifts in balance. Gym-goers who had cheered for Hulk moments before now nodded in silent admiration, realizing that the true measure of strength lies in knowledge and skill, not ego and size. One young athlete approached Bruce cautiously, almost in disbelief. "Sir, how do you move so fast? How do you make it look effortless?" Bruce smiled faintly, the calm teacher in him emerging. "It's not about moving fast. It's about moving correctly. Precision beats power, timing beats force, and focus beats arrogance. Respect everyone, even those smaller or weaker than you, because skill can always surpass brute strength." The lesson was universal. Hulk Hogan, despite his years of experience and unmatched physical presence, had learned humility. Gym-goers, young and old, had witnessed a masterclass in skill, patience, and respect. And Bruce Lee, as he exited the gym, left behind a silent but indelible mark, a lesson that would echo in the minds of everyone present for years to come. The moral of the story was clear. True power is silent. True respect is earned. True mastery transcends size, intimidation, and ego. Bruce Lee's demonstration wasn't just about winning a confrontation. It was about teaching everyone present that skill, discipline, and humility are more important than raw strength or appearance. Before leaving, Bruce paused at the doorway and glanced back at the gym. His eyes met Hulk Hogan's, who now stood with a mixture of respect and astonishment. No words were necessary. The message had been delivered. The giant had learned a vital lesson. Never underestimate someone smaller, calmer, and more skilled than you. True mastery cannot be measured by size alone. And to the viewers watching this unfold online, the lesson is yours as well. In life, many of us focus on appearances, ego, or superficial strength. But just like Hulk Hogan in that gym, it's easy to forget that discipline, precision, skill, and respect are the things that truly matter. If you believe in the power of skill over ego, precision over brute force, and humility over arrogance, type respect in the comments. Share where you're watching from, because lessons like this deserve recognition worldwide. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell for more stories of legends, mastery, and life-changing lessons. Moments like this remind us all that true strength isn't shown with muscles or loud words. It's shown in calm confidence, perfect execution, and respect for others. Bruce Lee walked out into the sunlight, leaving behind the gym transformed. Hulk Hogan remained, reflecting on the encounter, inspired to train not just harder, but smarter, to respect skill, to honor discipline, and to understand that size is just one measure of strength, not the ultimate measure of mastery. This was more than a confrontation. It was a lesson in life, power, and respect. And every person who witnessed it, in the gym or online, carried a piece of that lesson with them. So remember, muscle can intimidate, size can awe, but skill conquers all. Mastery is quiet. Power is precise. Respect is earned. If you felt inspired by this story, don't just watch, engage, share, and spread the lesson. Because true legends, like Bruce Lee, don't just fight. They teach, inspire, and leave a lasting mark on everyone they encounter.